Well,
I'm just curious with Armage, just what were your hopes for him coming into camp this year?
hopes for him?
Yeah.
Well, it's just take another step in understanding, he's a highly talented guy for a guy his size, extremely athletic, he likes to be physical. I just think as a younger player yet, you still want to see him continue to mature through the process of what it takes to be a Power 5 offensive lineman. He has a great upside and a bright future. He was slowed by a high ankle last year, and but he's really progressed. He brings energy to our offense, to our football team, and just want to see him continue to kind of solidify himself as one of those 5 guys.
How much have you seen him progress just in this calendar year?
Oh, immensely. He's might have grown in some ways as much as anybody. Again, part of that is just like all these guys through transition and time in college, understanding the game starts slowing down a little bit, consistency and having the same position coach as we talk about a lot in here, and then gaining that confidence through the reps needed.
You said to ask 10 days in about the offensive line, and we don't get a chance to talk to you tomorrow, so it'll have to be 9. But do you have those backup 3 guys? Like, how's that whole competition work all coming together?
I said it has to be 9.
Well, because we're not going to see you tomorrow.
It wouldn't be
day 9.
Maybe it's 14.
Well, it could be. We could do this again next week.
Let's get them 9 days.
All right.
Just with your
Holistically,
offense, yeah.
I was so focused on, I was told I had to answer the question.
I'm just trying to make it lighthearted.
Me too.
Yeah,
Continue developing. There's some things there. Our experience in the defensive line and time on the field together is a lot more than the other side.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you see that many times. Do I think they're getting better? I think we're Scott Fuchs is starting to mix and match a little bit more in some scenarios. We're dual training multiple guys. So with that is you're going to get mixed results. Is it where we want it to be? No. But trending, yes. I'm sure somebody's going to ask. If you look at the scrimmage from the other day, we had too many penalties on both sides of the ball. We had 8 on each side. That's way too many. So we got to clean a lot of things up, and that's one of the areas as well. But they're willing and working hard at it.
You mentioned the cross training a lot.
Mm-hmm.
How hard is it for those guys to actually do that, though, to go from, say, like right tackle to left guard or center?
Yeah, Scott and I talk about it. Obviously, I trust him immensely. We talk about it. I challenge those guys, and I give it a different perspective at times. And just I'll give you a quick sample. Is for some guys, it might be easier just to play tackle.
Mm-hmm.
For some guys, if they're depending on body type, it might be easier to play right side and left side. So I might be a right guard and a right tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Because maybe stance and a little bit of footwork and there are maybe, so we talk about that and what's the best way to make sure we're covered, at least with our top 8, okay? Who are the guys, Scott's always tried to train everybody in snapping and things like that. So, it depends on the individual, and sometimes it doesn't work as well. And again, when it doesn't and you're not having success, then you gotta, eject that one and kind of look at some other options. Because again, we don't want to take away from the confidence and success that they have, and that's a balancing act with guys. Start overloading them, it can be, but I guess it's based on the individuals. But I think if you remember, even last year, Michael Ford was playing some tackle early in the year with Bryce Cabledew, and then he settled in more at guard. So he's a guy that's done it already. Dre Deron, transferred from Buffalo. He had played some center for us at Buffalo in the spring, doing it again now, but he also started 10-plus ball game or whatever at right tackle. So he's done it already. So, Bryce Cabledew's a guy that's one that we've experimented some, again, playing inside and out, as well as he's done right and left. Dominic Pooney's another one that's doing that. So there's 4 guys right now that minimum are cross-training.
You mentioned the penalties there. I mean, last season you weren't a very penalized team. Is that concerning, or is that to be expected, I guess, for a first kind of full scrimmage?
It's early. Full disclosure, I tell them to call it really close early to make sure that we have attention to detail on the little things. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but yeah, you're going to see some things with pass interference. The ones that are concerning when you're challenging you, of course, is when we have alignment issues, like, you know, we had our touchdown called back because we didn't have enough men on line of scrimmage. And honestly, the guy who caught it and ran for a touchdown was the guy that needed to be on the line. So, you know, you kind of, but you just can't let it go without addressing it. And I think that's the most important thing is not how many penalties we have, but that we're addressing and getting it going, okay? You know, jumping off sides on either side of the ball, those things, those are ones because that's concentration and focus and fatigue or whatever it may be. Those are the ones we'll make sure we're also addressing quickly. But if we're sitting here after game one talking about the close to that many, yeah, it's a huge issue.
Outside of that, you learn anything else about your team during the scrimmage?
Yeah, you know, I keep saying, and I guess one thing as a head coach I got to be a lot better at is sometimes when you're looking at it, you know, is that you don't let your highs and lows go too much because are you really good on this side and struggling here? But again, I do like where we're at as far as understanding knowledge. You know, missed tackles, you know, we're always going to chart it. We're always going to be there. We got to be better. But the thing that was evident this time was even when we missed tackles, we had people right there swarming to the ball. We had more people around the ball than maybe in the past, and that's something that, again, I think is definitely a positive.
I mean, you mentioned getting hats to the ball. Is that a point of emphasis for you guys?
No, it always should be, but yeah, we're trying to get that. Now we got to work on backside pursuit and doing things, and we've got to make sure we put attention into that and getting guys. But I think some of it are individuals that help us in that area. But everybody's going to learn. The more people, you know, get people around there and playing with that confidence, flying around, so to speak, but I want to be under control as we're doing it in the appropriate ways.
And I'm curious for you, integrating the transfers, the guys that weren't here during the spring, I'll use Marvin Grant as an example. Does he start off working with like the 3s and the 2s and then works with the 1s eventually? Like, how do you integrate transfers like that weren't around
When they
in the
earn
spring?
it. When they earn it. You know, they understand, but yeah, they're working with other units right now, but you know, I know we don't let you guys stay in there for all that, but our rotations will work that they're still gonna go against guys who start on the other side of the ball. Okay, he's gonna, like for Marvin, let's say it could be a 1-on-1, but it's also gonna be on 7-on-7, and it's also gonna be in team period. So when they roll huddles, he's still gonna get evaluated. And you know, as we continue to get depth and develop things, you know, you hope the gaps, and I think we're getting closer there where there's not as many gaps, and you know, we're going to rotate more guys and do that. But yeah, you're going to earn it. But there's times even with the defensive rotations, not a lot, but there'll be times where there'll be, you know, guys are maybe in the 2.5 deep in there with, you know, and the D line, and then it's another group of linebackers because they're rotating within their positions based on numbers and opportunities as well. So it kind of gets to be, you know, really a mixed potluck on it a little bit even there. But yeah, but all in all, again, we go back to first day stuff that we've talked about is that, you know, we talk about opportunities and guys look at it, but we're not going to hand positions here. And that's the other thing is, and you know, you're going to earn it and you're going to feel good because then the locker room's going to feel good about it as well.
I asked Craig Young yesterday about with so many linebackers coming in, if they talk about technique and approaches and way that they've learned things elsewhere. And he said no, but what they do talk about is what it's like for those guys who have won things elsewhere and then come in here and then talk about what it's like to be a winner. Mm-hmm. How much can those messages and that support just from an intangible aspect resonate with guys?
Great. I think it's a great point. And, you know, Craig's been outstanding here this first thing, and really the last week you could see him. You could probably see maybe, you know, things about his approach and how he goes about it. You know, Coach Gildersleeve singled him out just the other day, which we don't do a ton of here. and how when he hits the field and his pre-practice routine, and he's not out there just having conversation. He's getting ready to go, and I think sometimes when you're in a program where like Ohio State, where he came from, he's had he's probably learned from a lot of good guys, and he's seen it, and he knows where he has to be on. You have to be locked in, and to watch the way he's going about it helps. I think Kalen Gervin did that as well. Talked about just different scenarios. Could be on the field, it could be something approach off the field that maybe some of our younger players and everything that's maybe happened here, they've tried to shed light on about what happens in other programs, especially ones that are top 25 right now in the country.
I wanted to just go back to some of the guys from today. Do you have any concerns about Kai Thomas, Torrey Lockman, Marvin Grant, Eddie Wilson, Lonnie Phelps?
No, it's back to the same thing. We have things running through the program, unfortunately. I mean, those guys kind of, Lonnie was in the building today, got sent home, okay, but, just say, I mean, if you're throwing up and you want to go practice and the trainer sends you home, what do you do, okay? So I don't question any of that, and in fact, it's the other, we need to be smart and things like that. So not concerned at this point. If we were getting into game week, yeah, I'd be concerned, but other than that, that's all it is.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Lance, I've got a question about when you built Buffalo, and then when you're building here, the differences with portal, NIL, things like that, positives, pluses. What's the difference?
Well, we're still early in the NIL stuff, so I don't know where that, at least, we think there might be cases we haven't been successful because of that, but, we're not gonna use that as an excuse. Portal right now, at this moment, you'd see us, we're getting, not losing, but you just don't know what round two of this, year two of it really will be. Where we were, like we've talked many times in here, is our youth and open scholarship. A lot of those things have played for us to get a little bit older and to kind of see, but so that part, it's been good. I think, again, once we get through the season and it plays out a little bit more, we think we have found good matches. I think our recruiting staff and others through our screening process, and I think we're doing some things that maybe others aren't, and that help us try to find fits here. And but I feel really good about that, and I think it's helped us to this point. Now we got to make sure as we approach September that it shows up on the field. Is that? We're gonna continue. I think everybody's gonna be. It's going to be an evolution of how this really pertains to what your recruiting classes look like, and the third part of that I think you'd mean is the 85 versus the hard cap 25, and how everybody looks at roster development across the country versus just a lot of older players.
And then, are you getting a lot of guys asking you about NIL? How much do you think that's even going to be more of a factor down the road here?
Oh, I think it will as we go, because that's the topic. You mentioned Buffalo and things like that. I can remember guys coming in, and when cost of attendance became part of the scholarship, okay, and then they started asking, well, what's my monthly check, okay, it used to be the education, and it used to be about the style of offense and style of defense. How are you going to use me? Where do you see? And then sometimes it gets down into more financials, and when it was cost of attendance, I see that cost of attendance isn't even talked about anymore. So once that kind of goes, it just kind of keeps stacking, I guess. Is that?
I've got one more scrimmage question for you. Any players you wanted to highlight that really stood out to you kind of over the course of it?
Geez, that was so many days ago.
48 hours.
Daniel Highshaw really stood out. I thought he did some good things. I mentioned Craig Young. I was just gathering Lonnie Phelps. I guess I'll have to get, I'm forgetting one, and then you're gonna write about them, and then somebody's gonna be disappointed I didn't mention them, so I apologize. Yeah, those are some of the quick ones, I guess, right now.
And then I'm just curious for Jason Bean. You've talked about how you expect Jalen to start, but for Jason to miss a few days, I guess how does that impact him at all in terms of him competing or things like that?
He's out there today. I thought he threw the ball really well again. He's had some of his best practices. I'll just say that. His best practices as a Jayhawk have been in this month of August. So I'm really proud of how he's gone about it. I think he's more confident. He's not letting this topic affect how he goes about it. And that's what we need in our program across the board.
Anything else? All right, thanks, Coach.
All right.
Thanks.
Nothing?
I could ask you one. I was gonna ask you one. It's kind of cheesy. Where's the mic though? I don't want to mess it up. It's not cheesy, but it's
Cheesy.
The baton.
From you?
cheese. There we go. Here's the mic. Okay. I did want to ask you about the leadership that you're seeing out there across the board. You obviously have some pretty loud and obvious leaders that do that job really well. And then last year, if you think about the Buffalo guys that came in and the role they had as leaders because they knew you, do you have a feel for leadership on this roster? And do you have enough? And how's that progressing?
Matt Gildersleeve and I, we talk about this a lot, and he's got, because of the time he gets with them, and we break the team up, and we have kind of a leadership council group and they draft teams, and that they do an excellent job with that, and he does within our culture building, but leadership building too, challenging and doing things. I think we have really good leadership and example and accountability. And then there's things that we're still working through based on, I still say, where we are as a program. And where that is handling adversity and not here we go again sometimes. And then that vocal confidence, even though the team or myself isn't maybe playing as well as I'd like. Okay, that's one thing we need to work on. But as far as example setting and doing things at other times, I'm very pleased with where we're at. Sam Bird, Caleb Sampson, Mason Fairchild are part of those guys. Jalen obviously has the role. Devin does a great job. So I'm trying to mention the guys that weren't. Didn't come here with us, okay? You put Earl Bostic's worked real hard, even our scrimmage, first time I've really seen him call a group up and talk. So guys are doing that. I mean, Rich Miller and Mike Dubitsky, they know, and they've we've kind of given, they've got the inside look of what we expect and has seen it, the way it's worked and paid off, so they try to spread that. But we also make sure we're trying to spread that out within the locker room. Okay? All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Not bad.